Good evening, and welcome back to Dreamward Stories. Take a moment now to get comfortable. Pull the blanket a little closer. Let your hands rest, and allow your breathing to become slow and easy. There is nothing you need to solve right now, nothing you need to hurry toward. For the next little while, you can simply listen. This is a quiet place for long, calming bedtime stories made for adult listeners. Here, we wander through misty villages, candle-lit rooms, forgotten roads, old libraries, distant kingdoms, and gentle mysteries that slowly soften into sleep. If you feel like it, leave a comment telling us where in the world you are listening from tonight. It is always comforting to imagine all the quiet rooms gathered together beneath the same story. And if this story helps you relax, a like and a subscription are gentle ways to support the channel and find your way back for more. Now, let your eyes grow heavy, let the night become kind, and let us begin. Tonight, you stand watch above a sleeping Viking settlement where wooden halls glow with firelight, and longships rest beneath snow beside the frozen sea. But this is no ordinary winter night. High above the cliffs, the northern lights begin to descend. Green and silver curtains fall from the stars, brushing the rooftops, touching the pines, and opening a glowing path across the snow. From that path comes a sound older than the village itself, a forgotten song, quiet and incomplete. Before morning, you must follow the light across the ice, past the sleeping harbor, toward the place where sea and sky meet. And there, beneath the northern lights, you will learn why some songs are not meant to be sung loudly, but return gently to the sea. The first thing you notice is that the northern lights are too low. They do not rest high above the world as they usually do, pale and distant, wavering across the great black bowl of winter sky. Tonight, they hang close enough to touch the roofs of the wooden halls. Green and silver curtains drift between the stars and the snow, moving so slowly that the whole settlement seems to be breathing beneath them. You stand on the watch cliff with your cloak drawn around your shoulders, listening to the frozen sea. The sea is not silent, even in deep winter. It murmurs beneath its skin of ice, shifting and sighing far below the white cliffs. Beyond the harbor, longships lie pulled up on the shore, their dragon-headed prows sleeping beneath soft caps of snow. The ropes are stiff with frost. The oars are stacked beneath hide covers. Shields along the railings glow faintly. Whenever the lights pass over them, round faces of red, blue, and black, made gentle by the night. Behind you, the coastal settlement rests in firelight. Smoke rises from the roof holes of the great hall, and the smaller houses gathered around it. The scent of pinwood, wool, cooked barley, and drying fish drifts through the cold. The hall doors are closed against the wind, but not tightly enough to keep all warmth inside. A line of gold slips beneath the threshold. Sometimes laughter reaches the cliff, softened by distance, until it is only a low, human sound, something warm enough to lean toward. You are the night watchman of this place. Your duty is not only to look for danger. Most nights there is none. Your work is to know the weather by the taste of the air, to hear when the harbor ice cracks, to notice when a fishing boat has not returned, to keep the signal fire ready, and to stand between the sleeping village and whatever the dark might bring. It is quiet work, old work, work done with patient eyes. Beside you, the watchfire burns in a stone ring, blackened by many winters. Its flames bend low whenever the wind comes over the cliff. A spear rests against the post near your hand, though tonight it feels more like part of the settlement shape than a weapon. A horn hangs from a peg, wrapped in leather. A small iron lantern sits near your boot, its flame carefully guarded behind clouded horn panes. You have watched many winter skies. You have seen snow come sideways so thickly that even the great hall disappeared. You have seen stars sharp enough to seem carved into the dark. You have watched the northern lights dance green over the sea like silent rivers, but you have never seen them descend. Tonight they lower themselves strand by strand. A pale fold of light slips between the watch cliff and the harbor path. Another brushes the roof of the boathouse and runs down the carved beams without burning them. A third curtain falls past the tallest pine at the edge of the settlement, draping its branches in soft blue fire. The dogs do not bark, the goats in their pen do not stir, even the wind seems to step carefully. Then, across the snow below Watchcliff, a path begins to shine. It appears little by little, as if some unseen hand is laying moonlit cloth over the ground. It starts beside the old standing stone near the well, passes between the boat sheds, crosses the packed snow of the lower yard, and continues toward the frozen shore. The light is not bright enough to hurt your eyes. It is gentle and strange, green at the edges, silver at the center, pulsing faintly like a quiet breath. You take one step forward. The snow beneath your boots crunches in the ordinary way. The cold touches your cheeks, the fire warms the back of your cloak, and the settlement remains exactly where it has always been. Yet the night has changed. You can feel it in the way every shadow seems to be listening. A sound rises from the path. At first it is almost too soft to hear. It might be wind slipping between hulls, or ice rubbing against stone below the cliff, but then it lengthens into a note. Not a whistle, not a call, but a sung note, low and old, shaped by a voice that is no longer present. You turn your head toward the great hall. Inside, someone begins a familiar winter song. A few voices join, rough and warm, drifting through the timber walls. It is the kind of song sung after stew, after stories, after hands have been warmed by bowls and cups. The note on the glowing path is different. It does not belong to the hall. It belongs to the sea. The watchfire snaps quietly. You reach down and lift the iron lantern. Its small flame trembles once, then steadies. The northern lights ripple above the horn panes, and for a moment the lantern's ordinary yellow glow turns green. The old standing stone near the well answers. A line of runes, usually hidden beneath like an age, begins to shine along its side. You know that stone. Everyone in the settlement knows it. Children are told not to climb it. Travelers are told it was raised before the oldest hall was built. Elders touch it when leaving by sea and again when returning. It bears the weathered marks of hands, knives, and time. Most of its runes have long been unreadable. Tonight, one line can be read from the cliff. Not with your eyes alone. You are too far away for that. Yet the meaning arrives as calmly as breath on cold air. Return the song before morning. The note from the glowing path rises again, soft and incomplete. You stand a moment longer beside the watchfire, listening to the sea beneath the ice and the voices in the hall behind you. The settlement is asleep in pieces, warm behind wooden walls, unaware that the sky has leaned down to touch its roofs. The path waits below. It does not pull at you. It does not command. It simply shines, patient as moonlight on snow. You take the horn from its peg and hang it across your back, not because you expect to use it, but because a watchman does not leave the cliff unprepared. You settle the lantern in your hand. Then you bank the watchfire carefully with another split log, making sure it will burn low and steady in your absence. When you begin walking down from the cliff, the northern lights move above you like curtains opening for a quiet play. The village path is familiar beneath the snow. You know every dip in stone, every leaning fence post, every place where ice gathers in the coldest weeks. Yet tonight it feels as if you are walking through a settlement remembered by the sky. The wooden walls glow, the carved oak doorways gleam. Frost on the roof beams catches green fire and gives it back in tiny sparks. At the foot of the cliff path, you pass the first house. A little window is lit by coals inside. Through the shutters comes the sound of someone turning in sleep, then settling again. A child's wooden horse sits half buried in snow near the doorstep. The aurora path bends around it carefully, as if even the light knows not to disturb small things left in play. The note sings again. This time it has two tones. They move together, and separate, then fade. You follow them toward the standing stone. The standing stone rests near the village well, taller than any person, and wider than a long ship mast. Snow gathers against its base in smooth white shoulders. In daylight, the stone is gray and plain, marked by scratches, lichen, and old rooms nearly swallowed by weather. Tonight it glows as if a small piece of the northern sky has been folded into it. You lift the lantern. The runes brighten. A figure stands beside the well, wrapped in a thick fur cloak, her white hair braided over one shoulder. She is smaller than the stone, but somehow seems just as old. Her name is Solvig, and she has kept the hearth songs of the settlement longer than you have been alive. Some call her a skald, some call her a memory keeper, and the children simply call her Grandmother Song. She does not look surprised to see you. I wondered which watchman the lights would choose, she says. Her voice is soft enough that it does not wake the houses around you. The northern light rests in the fur along her shoulders, turning each frost-tipped hair silver-green. You saw the path, you say. I heard it first. Solveig places one hand on the stone. Old songs are not quiet when they are trying to return. The note rises again from the path, moving through the snow near your boots. It slips around the stone and trembles there, unfinished. Solveig closes her eyes. That is the sea's listening note, she says. But it has lost the line that answers it. You know many songs. Every watchman does. Songs for rowing, songs for mending nets, songs for mourning, songs for feasting, songs sung in low voices when fog sits thick on the water. But the melody beneath the lights is not one you know. It seems older than the longships, older than the whole, older perhaps than the standing stone itself. What song is it, you ask? Solveig opens her eyes and looks toward the harbor. The first song carried here, she says. Before the hall was built, before the harbor wall, before we knew which cliffs would shelter us from the north wind, the old ones sang it to the sea, so the sea would know our names. And the sea answered by remembering the way home. The great hall behind you releases another hush of laughter, then quiets again. The sound seems very far away. Why has it returned tonight, you ask? Solveig traces the shining runes with 2 fingers. Because we have sung every other song so often, that this one has become lonely, she says. Because the sea has been covered in ice for many weeks. Ice keeps more than water still. It can hold a note long. You look toward the shore where the glowing path continues. What must be done? Song must be returned to the tide before morning, Solveig says. Not shouted, not performed, returned. She reaches into the folds of her cloak and draws out a small object wrapped in wool, and the one who returns it must carry the listening shell. She places the bundle in your hand. Inside the wool is a shell unlike any found on your coast. It is long and curved, pale as bone at one end, and blue-black at the other, as if it has held midnight water. Fine runes are etched around its lip. The shell is cold at first, then warms slowly in your palm. You lift it toward your ear. A deep hush moves inside it. Not the ordinary sound of the sea in a shell, but a wide, patient quiet, like water waiting beneath stars. It came from the first landing, Selvig says. So the old stories say. It was kept in the hall for many winters, then in the shrine by the cliff, then in my keeping when no one remembered why it mattered. The shell hums faintly, one note, then silence. I do not know the whole song, you say. No one does alone. Solveig smiles a little. That is why it was almost lost. Each keeper held only part of it. The aurora path brightens, reaching from the stone toward the boat sheds. There are keepers still, you ask. 3, if they wake when cold. Solveig looks toward the sleeping houses, a shipwright, a child, and the sea itself. This seems like the sort of answer she has carried for years, waiting for the night when it would be useful. The first verse is in the ship hall, she continues, carved where wood remembers hands. The second is with the child who hears the harbor ice singing. The third is beneath the old shrine on Gull Rock. The path still reaches that far. You turn the shell in your hand. The runes along its lip catch light from above. And the final line. Solveig's expression gentles. The final line is not found, she says. It is given back. The wind moves softly between the houses. Snow lifts from the rooftops and drifts through the aurora glow, like pale ash. You tuck the shell safely inside your cloak, close enough to your heart to keep it warm, and nod. I will follow the path. Solveig touches the stone once more. The runes dim slightly, as though they have said what they needed to say. You are the watchman, she says. You know how to listen without waking the world. The words settle with you. They are not praise, exactly. They are a reminder of the shape of your duty, to watch, to listen, to keep faith with sleeping houses, sleeping ships, sleeping seas. You leave Selvig by the well and follow the light toward the ship hall. The path runs between fences. Wool cloaks hang stiff from pegs, past a shed stacked with peat, past a row of barrels sealed with ice. Everything ordinary has been made slightly magical. Axe handles lean against walls like old companions. Nets hang from beams and glitter with frozen beads. The snow beneath the aurora path does not melt, but it shines from within, each footprint you make glowing for a moment before fading. The ship hall stands near the harbor slope, long and low, built from heavy timbers darkened by tar and smoke. Inside, boats are repaired during winter and stories are traded, while hands work by lamplight. Tonight its doors are closed, but the aurora path gathers at the threshold. You set down your lantern and push one door open. The scent of pine pitch, salt rope, old sawdust, and cold iron greets you. Moonlight and green skylight spill across half-finished work. A small repair boat rests upside down on trestles. Oars lean along the walls. Coils of rope sit in careful circles. The great ribs of an unfinished longship rise at the far end of the hall like the bones of a sleeping whale. A man sits on a stool beside the longship, sharpening a curved knife with slow strokes. His name is Torvald, the shipwright. His beard is gray, his hands wide and scarred from years of shaping wood, and his eyes are as calm as winter harbors. The lamp burns beside him, though its flame has turned pale green. I thought I might be too old to hear it, he says without looking up. You hear the song? I hear the wood remembering it. He sets down the knife and rests one palm against the unfinished ship's ribs. The hall answers. A low note moves through the timber. Not loud, not even quite a sound. It is more like the feeling of a song traveling through the soles of your boots. The listening shell warms beneath your cloak. Torvald looks at you then. Show me what Solveig gave you. You take out the shell. Shipwright does not touch it. He only bows his head to it, as if greeting an old traveler. She kept it well, he says. The first verse is here, you tell him. Aye, he says. carved where wood remembers hands. He lifts the lamp and leads you along the length of the unfinished longship. The longship in the hall is not yet ready for sea. Its ribs stand open, pale in the green light, each curved plank smoothed by hand until it seems to hold some part of the forest it came from. The keel runs down the center, dark and strong. Tools lie nearby in neat rows: mallets, chisels, wedges, augers, knives. Wood shavings curl on the floor like sleeping feathers. Torvald moves slowly, not from weakness, but from care. He touches one beam, then another, listening with his fingertips. My father taught me to read timber before he taught me to cut it, he says. Every tree carries wind inside it. Every ship carries the hands that shaped it. But some wood carries older things. He kneels near the bow, where the future dragon head will one day be fixed. There you hold the lantern closer. At first you see only grain, knots, small tool marks, and a dark seam where two planks meet. Then the aurora light shifts. Fine runes peer along the inner curve of the bow, so shallow they would vanish in daylight. Torvald runs his thumb beneath them without touching. My grandfather carved these, from a piece he copied off an older ship, he says, and his grandfather before him. We kept the marks because we were told they were lucky. That was all anyone remembered. Shell hums under your hand. You lean closer. The runes do not speak in words at first. They shimmer. The note from the path outside rises faintly, and the carved marks answer with a second line of melody, low and steady, like oars entering water together. Fervold listens. His face softens. I know that rhythm, he says. That is the rowing line. He closes his eyes and begins to hum. His voice is rough with age, but gentle. The sound fills the ship hall without disturbing it. The unfinished longship seems to gather the note into itself. You hear the shape of waves beneath the hum. Not storm waves, not crashing water, but the slow push and pull of a calm sea, carrying a vessel home. The listening shell grows warmer. You raise it carefully. The shell takes in Torvald's humming. Its runes shine blue along the lip, and the first true piece of the old song settles inside it, not trapped, held. Torvald stops humming and breathes out slowly. I had forgotten my father sang that while planing oars, he says. Not the words. There were no words in his mouth by then. Just that hum. You lower the shell. It remembers now. So do I, Torvald says. For a little while, the two of you stand in the ship hall, surrounded by tools and timber and the soft green breath of the sky. The settlement outside remains quiet. Snow ticks against the roof, where loose flakes slide from the beams. Torvald walks with you to the doors. The child you need is Astrid, he says. Little one from the red-doored house above the fish sheds. She hears things. Ice, rope, empty cups. Folk smile at it because she is small. But children often live near doors we close too early. You know Astrid. She is 7 winters old, quick-eyed and quiet, the daughter of a net-maker and a wool-dyer. She once told you that your watchfire sounded different when snow was coming. She had been right. Will she be awake? You ask. Torvald looks out at the aurora path, which now bends toward the upper slope. If the saw has called her, yes. He places one hand briefly on your shoulder. The gesture is heavy and kind. Go gently. A child's part of an old song should not be startled from her. You leave the ship hull with the shell against your chest, and Torvald standing in the doorway behind you. As you step back into the night, the aurora curtains drift lower still. One touches the roof of the hall and slides over it like a hand smoothing a blanket. The path leads upward, away from the harbor, between houses half buried in snowdrift. Your boots make small, crisp sounds. The village has grown quieter now. Even the laughter from the great hall has faded. Perhaps the feast has ended. Perhaps people are settling onto benches in sheepskins, cups empty, stories half finished. The red-doored house stands above the fish sheds, with fishing floats hanging beneath its eaves, and a bundle of dyed wool beside the entrance. Its chimney sends up a thin line of smoke. The aurora path stops at the doorstep and pools there, green and silver, patient as a visitor. Before you can knock, the door opens. Astrid stands there in a wool-night tunic, a fur cloak thrown over her shoulders, her hair braided loosely and tied with blue thread. She holds a small wooden whale in one hand. Behind her, warm darkness fills the house, and someone sleeps softly near the hearth. "I heard the ice singing under my pillow," she whispers. "You crouch so your voice does not have to travel far." "Did it wake you?" She shakes her head. It asked politely. This seems true enough for tonight. You show her the shell. Her eyes widen, not with fear, but recognition of something she has never seen and somehow already knows. "That belongs near water," she says. "It is gathering the old song," you tell her. "Sovik says you may know part of it." Astrid looks down at the wooden whale in her hand. "I do not know songs," she says. "Only small noises. Small noises are sometimes where songs hide." She considers this with the seriousness of someone judging a bridge before stepping onto it. Then she slips outside and closes the door softly behind her. The aurora path brightens around her bare little boots. You notice this and glance down, but she only wiggles her toes in the snow as if the light has warmed it. "It does not bite," she says. You wrap the edge of your cloak lower and guide her toward the fish sheds, where the path now curves. The fish sheds stand near the harbor slope, smaller than the ship hall and more weather-beaten. Nets hang under the eaves. The smell of salt and smoke clings to the wood. Beyond them, the frozen sea glows under the lights. Great plates of ice stretch out from the shore, hale and ridged, and farther out the dark water moves in slow lanes beneath the sky. Astrid walks beside you, listening. "The ice is not one thing," she whispers. "It is many thin things leaning on each other." You do not answer, because the words feel like they should be allowed to remain as they are. At the edge of the harbor, the aurora path spreads onto the ice. The sight gives you pause. The sea ice is thick near shore, but farther out it can be uncertain. A watchman knows this. A watchman knows the difference between beautiful and safe, yet the glowing path rests over the ice in a narrow band, and beneath that band the surface looks smooth, clear, and strong. Astrid crouches and places the wooden whale on the ice. The shell hums. The ice answers. It begins with a faint clicking, like tiny stones rolling inside a bowl. Then comes a deeper note, a long groan softened by distance. Astrid tilts her head. Her breath makes small clouds before her face. "That is the part that goes under," she says. "Under the rowing, under the wind, under all the big voices." She closes her eyes and hums so quietly you almost miss it. The note is high and clear. It moves like light beneath ice. Where Torvald's part was the rhythm of oars, Astrid's is the shimmer of water below them, the hidden current carrying the ship when arms grow tired. The listening shell warms, until you feel it through your glove. You hold it near her, and the shell gathers the child a small shining note, with the same care it gave the shipwright's hum. The runes flare blue, then settle. Astrid opens her eyes. "The song is less lonely now," she says. Across the ice, the aurora path stretches toward the dark shape of Gull Rock. Gull Rock rises from the frozen sea beyond the harbor, a low island of black stone crowned by snow and crooked pines. In summer, gulls nest there in white, noisy clusters, and children are warned not to climb too near the edge. In winter, when the sea freezes hard enough, people sometimes walk to it at noon to gather driftwood or leave offerings at the old shrine, but no one goes there at night, not because it is forbidden, not because it is feared, simply because some places belong to themselves after dark. Tonight, the northern lights have made a road to it. The glowing path lies over the ice, a long, pale ribbon, curving around pressure ridges and snow-covered cracks. It shines brighter where the ice is strongest. Beyond it, the frozen sea is blue-white and uncertain, full of ridges, dark seams, and places where black water breathes quietly through openings. Astrid stands beside you at the harbor edge, her wooden whale tucked under her arm. "You should not go alone," she whispers. "I will not be alone." You touch the shell inside your cloak. The song is with me. She studies you as only a child can, directly and without hurry. The song does not have feet. You almost smile. Behind you, a soft crunch of snow announces another presence. Salvig approaches with a thick pair of fur-lined boots in her hands. She nods to Astrid, then to you. "For the child," she says, "since the sky forgot to tell her to dress properly." Astrid accepts the boots with dignity and sits on a coil of rope to pull them on. Salvig looks across the ice toward Gull Rock. "The path will hold until the first pale edge of morning," she says. "After that, the lights will lift, and the sea will keep what it keeps. You know this? I have listened to old people who listened to older people. That is enough." Torvald comes down from the ship hall carrying a coil of rope and a wooden staff tipped with iron. He says nothing at first. He fastens one end of the rope around your waist with practiced hands, then ties the other around his own. "A watchman may follow a sky road," he says, "but a shipwright still trusts rope. The gesture steadies the night. Magic may open a path, but people still know how to care for one another with knots, wool, wood, and sense." Astrid stands in her burrowed boots. "I am coming to the first bend," she says. Salvig raises an eyebrow. "To the first bend," she agrees. "Not farther." No one argues. The path seems to accept this. Together, you step onto the frozen sea. The ice under the aurora path feels solid beneath your boots. It gives no hollow warning, no crack of protest. Still, you move carefully. The lantern in your hand throws a small circle of gold over the silver-green glow. The rope trails behind you to Torvald. Astrid walks between you and Salvig, holding the wooden whale with both hands. The settlement behind you grows smaller with every step. From the ice, the village looks like something carved for a story. Dark roofs under snow, warm windows, smoke leaning into the sky, longships resting like sleeping beasts along the shore. The great hall glows at its seams. The watchfire on the cliff burns as a steady ember above it all. You have watched over this place for many nights. From the cliff, it always seems solid and close. From the sea ice, it seems tender, a handful of warmth on the edge of a wide winter world. The shell hums against your chest. Inside it now are Torvald's rowing line and Astrid's under-ice note. Together they move in slow circles. Not yet a song, but no longer separate. At the first bend in the path, Astrid stops. The aurora light gathers around her boots. She looks toward Gull Rock, then lifts her wooden whale and presses it into your hands. "For the sea," she says. "It is yours. It knows the way back." You take the wooden whale. It is smooth from years of being held, its tiny carved tail worn soft. "I will return it. You can give it to the song first," Astrid says. "Then it will remember me if I am asleep." You tuck the wooden whale beside the shell. Salvig rests a hand on Astrid's shoulder. "You wait here," she says. Torvald tests the rope and nods to you. I'll go with you farther. The four of you become two and two. You and Torvald continue along the glowing path, leaving Solvig and Astrid at the bend like two small figures inside a curtain of green light. Astrid raises one hand. Solvig's cloak moves slowly in the wind. The path narrows after that. The ice rises in ridges where sheets have pressed together. Some ridges glow faintly from within, like frozen waves filled with starlight. In places, you can see dark water moving below clear ice, deep and slow. The sound of the settlement fades until only the sea remains. Hush, shift, distant crack, hush again. Torvald walks behind you, the rope between you slack but present. You have stood many nights on the cliff, he says after a while. Yes. Do you ever wonder what the sea thinks of being watched? You glance back. His expression is unreadable in the aurora glow, but his voice is gentle. I wonder whether it notices. It notices everything, he says. Only slowly, the words stay with you as Gull Rock draws nearer. The island is larger than it seems from shore. Its black stone sides rise from the ice in broken shelves. Snow lies thick in the hollows. A few stunted pines cling to the top, bent by years of wind. Near the lowest slope, half hidden between rocks, stands the old shrine. You remember visiting it as a child in summer. It was a simple place. A stone arch, a flat altar, a carved post weathered almost smooth. People left shells there, bits of carved wood, fish bones, beads, and small cups of ale. They asked for safe crossings, calm weather, remembered names. No one owned the shrine. No one tended it in any formal way. Yet it was never neglected. Tonight, the Aurora path climbs straight toward it. At the foot of Gull Rock, you test the first stone with your staff. It is slick with frost, but stable. Torvald unties the rope from his waist and knots it around a jutting rock, then keeps the loose length in his hands. Up you go, he says. I will keep the path from wandering. You climb. The rocks are cold under your gloves. Snow fills the cracks. Your lantern swings at your side, its flame steady inside the horn panes. Above you, the northern lights drift through the crooked pines, their curtains snagging on branches without tearing. The shrine waits beneath the arch. It is smaller than you remember, or perhaps you have become larger. The stone arch leans slightly, but still stands. The altar beneath it is covered in snow. Old offerings lie half buried around it. Shells, beads, a rusted buckle, a strip of faded cloth, carved fish with one fin missing. The wooden post at the back has worn almost featureless, except for a shallow spiral near its base. The aurora path gathers around the altar. The shell grows cold. For the first time since Solveig placed it in your hand, its warmth fades. You draw it out and hold it carefully. The rooms along the lip glow blue, then green, then dim. A voice speaks behind the shrine. You are late by many winters. You turn. No one stands there. Only a seal rests on the snow beyond the arch, dark-eyed and silver-backed, watching you with impossible patience. The seal lies beside the crooked pine as if it has always belonged there, though no ordinary seal could have climbed the rock from the frozen shore. Snow dusts its back. The aurora moves over its sleek head and turns its whiskers briefly to threads of light. You do not step closer. A watchman learns to let strange things be strange for a moment before deciding what to do with them. The seal blinks slowly. You carry to parts of the song, it says, in a voice like water moving beneath ice, and a child's wail. You glance down at your cloak, where the wooden whale rests beside the shell. Yes, that is kind. The seal lowers its head to the snow, then lifts it again. Are you the sea? You ask. I am where the sea has placed a voice tonight. This answer seems both clear and not clear at all. The shell in your hand gives one soft pulse. Torvald's hum stirs inside it. Astrid's note follows. The two move around each other but do not yet join. I was told the third verse is beneath the shrine, you say. It is, says the seal, but beneath is not always lower. The old shrine creaks softly as the wind passes through the arch. You look at the altar, the buried offerings, the worn post, the spiral near its base. Snow covers everything with equal gentleness. You kneel and brush the altar clear with your glove. Beneath the snow, the stone is carved with shallow marks. Some are runes, some are waves, some are handprints, small and large, pressed into the surface, when the stone must have been softer than stone should be. That the center is a hollow, just large enough for the listening shell. You place it there. Shrine becomes silent. Even the wind seems to pause beyond the arch. The northern lights stop moving for a breath. The world holds itself very still. Then the altar answers. A sound rises from the stone, deep and wide. Not a note you could hum easily. Not words. It is the sound of shore meeting tide, of boats pulled safely onto sand, of fog lifting when someone on land lights a fire. It is arrival. It is welcome. It is the part of the song that does not travel but waits. The shell drinks it in. Blue light flows around the rooms. The carved handprints on the altar shine one by one, as if all those who touched the stone are touching it again through time. You see them for a moment, not clearly, not like people standing before you, more like reflections in dark water, figures wrapped in old furs, a woman lifting a child from a boat, a man setting down an oar and kneeling to press his hand into the altar. Young faces turned toward land after a long voyage. Oars singing softly to the sea behind them, someone carrying a flame in a clay cup, someone laughing through tears, someone carving the first line of a song into wood before the hall, before the well, before even the watch cliff had a fire. They are not ghosts in a frightening way. They are memories welcomed by light. The seal watches you. This settlement was not founded by strength alone, it says. It was founded by people who were tired and grateful to arrive. The words pass through the shrine like a warm breath. You look down at the shell. The three parts of the song now move inside it. Rowing, undercurrent, welcome. Yet there is still an empty place among them. The final line, you say. The seal's dark eyes reflect the aurora. It must be given back. I do not know it. No one does before they arrive. The shrine light settles. The shell cools enough for you to lift it from the altar. When you do, the hollow remains shining faintly. The seal shifts, turning its head toward the sea. It's full morning. You must take the song where the path ends, not to the harbor, not to the shore where boats sleep. Farther, you look beyond the shrine. On the far side of Gull Rock, the aurora path continues. It descends between stones and out across a stretch of ice you have never crossed. Beyond it, past ridges and shadowed openings, lies a place where the frozen sea gives way to black winter water. The open water reflects the lights in long trembling bands, so that sky and sea seem to be reaching for each other. Torvald's voice calls softly from below. Is all well? You look back through the arch. Down at the foot of the rock, he stands with the rope in his hands, small but steady in the glowing night. All is well, you call. The seal gives a sound that might be amusement. Humans say that often when they mean, I am not finished yet. You tuck the shell and wooden whale safely inside your cloak again. What happens if the song is not returned? The seal blinks. The sea will not punish you. The sky will not fall. The village will wake and cook porridge and mend nets. Life will go on. It rests its chin on the snow. But something gentle will remain unnamed. Road home will grow harder to remember. Not all losses are loud. This is worse, in its quiet way, than any threat. You bow your head slightly to the seal, to the shrine, to the old handprints and the waiting stone. I will carry it. The seal looks toward the open water, then carry it as a watchman, not as one who conquers a path, but as one who keeps company with it. When you descend from the shrine, seal is gone. Only a smooth hollow in the snow remains beside the crooked pine, and a damp gleam on the black stone where no frost has settled. Orvold helps you down the last ledge. You spoke with someone, he says, with where the sea placed a voice tonight. He accepts this without question. There are nights when explanation would only make a thing smaller. You tell him what you learned as you stand at the base of Gull Rock, the rope between you and the path continuing beyond. He listens carefully. Farther than Gull Rock, he says at last. Yes, he looks toward the settlement, then toward the open water beyond the ice. My knees are not fond of farther tonight, he says, but my hands can still tie a good knot. Together you walk back to the bend where Solveig and Astrid wait. The child is half asleep against Solveig's side, though her eyes open when she sees you. Did the whale know the way? She asks. It did. Good. You return the wooden whale to her. She holds it close, then frowns and presses it back into your palm. Not yet, she says. He wants to hear the end. Solveig studies your face. The path goes farther, to open water. She looks toward the east. The sky there is still black, but black in the way that comes before the first thought of dawn. And there is time, she says. Not much to waste, but enough no one hurries foolishly. Torvald ritties the rope, this time around your waist only, with a longer coil trailing in your hand. I cannot go to the edge, he says. The ice may hold you and not me. But take the staff. Test each step, even on a sky road. Solveig removes a small pouch from her belt and places it in your other hand. Salt from last summer's tide, she says. If the song falters, give the sea a taste of itself. Astrid, still holding one edge of Solveig's cloak, lifts her sleepy face. When you give back the song, she says, do not sing too loudly. The sea is very close. You nod. The path ahead glows over the ice. Behind you wait the village, the shipwright, the memory keeper, and the child who hears small noises. Before you lies the open water, dark beneath the touching lights. You begin walking. The world grows wider beyond Gull Rock. The settlement disappears behind the low shape of the island, and with it the last warm windows, the last smoke lines, the last sense of being watched by familiar roofs. The ice opens around you in long fields of pale blue and white. Ridges rise like frozen waves. Snow gathers in hollows. Here and there, dark seams show where the sea breathes. Above, the northern lights hang low enough that their lower edges brush the ice. They do not make sound exactly, yet the air around them seems full of quiet music. The curtains ripple green, silver, violet, then green again. Each movement reflects beneath your boots, so that you walk between two skies, one above and one frozen below. The staff Torvald gave you taps the path ahead. Tap, step, crunch. Tap, step, crunch. The rhythm becomes part of the night. The listening shell rests inside your cloak, warm again. 3 parts of the old song move within it. Sometimes Torvald's rowing line rises first, steady and patient. Sometimes Astrid's under-ice note glimmers through it. Sometimes the shrine's welcome opens beneath them both like a door. Still, the song is not whole. You walk carefully, but not fearfully. The path does not ask for bravery in a loud way. It asks for attention. It asks you to notice where the glow brightens and where it thins, where snow hides a ridge, where ice speaks underfoot. where the wind shifts direction. A watchman knows this kind of courage. The quiet kind. The kind that keeps looking after others have slept. After a time, you reach a place where the path passes beside a dark opening in the ice. Water moves there, black and slow. The aurora reflects in it so clearly that it seems the lights have descended all the way beneath the sea. You pause. The shell hums. From the dark water comes an answering sound, low and unfinished. You take out Solveig's pouch of summer salt. The leather is stiff with cold. When you loosen the tie, the scent of warm days rises faintly. Seaweed, tide pools, sun on wet stone. It is a small, impossible thing in the middle of winter. You pour a pinch of salt into your gloved palm and let it fall into the opening. The water receives it without ripple. Then the old song inside the shell steadies. You continue. The ice road slopes gently downward. Oh, sea ice should not slope in such a way. The glowing path leads you into a shallow valley formed by pressure ridges on either side. The ridges catch the aurora and shine like walls of cloudy glass. Inside them, dark lines and trapped bubbles make shapes almost like runes. The wind fades here. For the first time since leaving the cliff, you hear your own breathing clearly. You hear the faint creak of leather, the small knock of the wooden whale against the shell, the soft brush of your cloak. The silence is deep, but not empty. Halfway through the ice valley, you find the remains of an old boat. It is not large. Perhaps a fishing boat, perhaps something older. Only part of its curved side rises from the ice, dark wood worn smooth by water and time. No one in the settlement has spoken of a wreck here. It may have drifted from far away. It may have been held by the ice for many winters, waiting to be noticed. The aurora path bends toward it. You kneel beside the exposed wood. Runes had been carved along the upper plank, shallow and nearly gone. You brush snow away and hold the lantern closer. The marks are not the same as the runes in the ship hall or on the altar. These are simpler, perhaps made by someone in a hurry, perhaps by someone with cold hands. The shell hums. A memory rises. You do not see it as clearly as you saw the first landing at the shrine. This one is softer, more like hearing a story from another room, a boat in fog, a voice singing so others will know where to turn, a small flame cupped against wind, oars moving slowly, someone laughing in relief when the shore answers. The carved runes begin to glow, not words, but a meaning. A song is a fire carried by the voice. You sit back on your heels. The phrase enters the hollow place inside the shell, but it does not fill it. It is not the final line. It is a reminder of what the final line must be. You touch the old boat once, respectfully, then rise. The path climbs out of the ice valley. Beyond it, the open water lies much closer. You can hear it now, half beneath ice, but free, a slow, dark breathing. Water touches water. Small waves move against the edge of the frozen sheet. The sound is gentle, but it changes everything. After so much ice, the open sea seems alive in a way that draws the old song forward. The northern lights gather above the water. Their curtains descend until they meet their own reflections. Skylight and sea light touch, forming an arch over the black channel. Beneath that arch, the aurora path ends. Stop several paces from the edge. The ice before you shines brightly, then fades at the very rim where water begins. You test it with the staff. Solid. You step closer. Test again. Solid. The sea breathes below. At the edge, you kneel. Water is so dark it seems deeper than night. Green light moves across it in long trembling bands. Small pieces of ice drift by, turning slowly. The cold rising from it is sharp, but clean. You take out the shell. Its runes are bright now. Inside it, the three gathered parts of the song circle faster, not hurried, but ready. The wooden whale rests against your palm. You set it on the ice beside you, facing the water. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, from far across the open sea, something answers. A note rises, low, patient, vast. It is the sea's listening note, the first sound you heard from the path near the watch cliff. Here, at the water's edge, it is no longer faint. It moves through your knees, your hands, the staff, the ice, shell. It asks, without words, raise the shell. Torvald's rowing line emerges first. You do not sing it loudly. You hum it, low and steady, the way he did in the ship hall. The sound leaves your mouth and enters the cold air. The sea receives it. Small ripples move under the aurora reflection. A strident under ice note follows. It is higher, lighter, almost too delicate for an adult voice. But you let it be small. You do not force it to become larger. It slips over the water like a silver thread. The open sea stills around it. Then comes the shrine's welcome. This part is not easy to sing. It is wider than a throat, so you breathe it more than hum it, letting the note form deep and low, shaped by memory rather than effort. You think of handprints in stone, boats arriving, tired people stepping onto a shore that would become home. The three parts move together over the water. For one breath, the song is almost whole, almost. The final line waits. You look into the dark sea. The aurora moves there like a road continuing downward. You think of the settlement behind Gull Rock, its sleeping houses and banked fires. You think of Solvig by the standing stone, Torvald's careful knots, Astrid's small bare feet in the snow, the unfinished longship, the shrine, the old boat held in ice. A song is a fire carried by the voice. The final line is not found. It is given back. You understand then that the song was never only for ships leaving or returning. It was never only a charm against fog or ice. It was the first promise between a people and a place. We have come here gently. Remember us. We will remember you. You lower the shell toward the water, and you sing the line that arrives, not from memory, not from skill, from the night itself. Sea that carried us, keep our way home. The words are simple. They do not echo loudly. They do not break the sky or shake the ice. They pass from your breath into the shell, from the shell into the water, and from the water into the wide dark beneath the northern lights. For a moment, everything glows. The open water brightens from below. Green light spills outward beneath the surface. Not sharp, not blinding, but warm in the way moonlight can seem warm after a long road. The aurora above lowers until its curtains touch the water entirely. Sky and sea meet without a seam. The shell in your hand gives one final pulse, then becomes still. The old song returns, not as a performance, not as something carried by one voice alone. It rises from everywhere at once, from the water, from the ice, from the distant cliffs, from the hulls of sleeping longships, from the old boat behind you, from the stones of Gull Rock, from the standing stone near the well, from the quiet beams of the great hall. You hear Torvald's rowing line in it, steady as hands at oars. You hear Astrid's under ice note, bright and hidden. You hear the shrine's welcome, wide as shore. You hear your final line moving through them all, not above them, not greater than them, simply the small needed piece that allows the rest to settle. Sea that carried us, keep our way home. The words dissolve into melody. Across the water, the floating pieces of ice turn slowly, arranging themselves in a loose circle of pale shapes. For a breath, they look like ships seen from far above. Then the circle opens toward the settlement, and the globe begins to travel back along the path. The wooden whale beside you rocks gently on the ice. You pick it up. Its carved eye shines once and returns to plain wood, to tuck it safely away for Astrid. The listening shell has changed. The blue-black end has lightened to the color of dawn before dawn arrives. The runes no longer shine, yet they seem clearer than before, as if the song has cleaned them from within. When you lift it to your ear, you hear no lonely note, only the steady hush of water at rest. "Returned," says a voice. The seal is in the open water below you, head lifted among the aurora reflections. Its dark eyes hold the sky. You followed well. The song knew where it wanted to go. Songs often do, says the seal. People are the ones who forget paths. You sit back from the edge, letting the staff rest across your knees. Will the sea remember us now? The seal blinks slowly. The sea did not forget entirely, but now the remembering is easier. This answer is enough. Far to the east, the black sky begins to soften. Not light yet, not dawn, only the earliest loosening of night. The aurora curtains stir. They begin to lift. Slowly, strand by strand, the northern lights draw upward from the water. The arch fades. The glowing path on the ice remains, but dimmer now, like embers after flame. You know it will not last long. You rise carefully. The walk back feels different. The path no longer seems to be leading you onward. It is leading you home. The ice valley welcomes you with silence. The old boat rests where it was, but the runes along its plank no longer glow. They do not need to. The phrase they held has been heard. You pause and touch the wood again. "May your fire carry on," you say softly. It is not a formal blessing. It is only what comes. The path continues. At the dark opening where you gave the sea summer salt, water is still. A faint green ring circles the place once, then fades. You tie Solveig's pouch closed and keep it safe. Some gifts are not emptied in one night. Gull Rock appears ahead, its pines black against the lifting lights. At its base, Torvald waits, seated on a stone with the rope in his lap. Solveig stands nearby, looking out over the ice. Astrid swoops against her side, wrapped inside the elder woman's cloak so completely that only her braid and one boot show. Torvald rises when he sees you. "Well?" he asks. You take the shell from your cloak and hold it out. Solveig steps closer. She does not touch it at first. She listens. The shell gives only the peaceful hush of water. Her face changes in the smallest way, as if some long-held door inside her has opened and found a lamp burning on the other side. "It is no longer lonely," she says. Astrid stirs. Without opening her eyes, she mumbles, "Did the sea like a whale?" You place the wooden whale into her mittened hands. It listened very well. She smiles in sleep and holds it under her chin. Torvald then ties the rope from your waist. "I felt the ice hum," he says, "through the rope, like a ship before launch. The whole sea sang." He looks down at his hands, flexing them once. "I thought I had forgotten that rowing line," he says. "Perhaps it remembered you first." He nods. The matter rests there. Together, the four of you begin the walk back toward the settlement. Astrid wakes enough to walk after a while, though slowly, one hand in Solveig's ace and one holding the wooden whale. Torvald carries the staff. You carry the shell and lantern. The aurora path grows dimmer beneath your boots, but it does not vanish before you pass. Behind you, it fades gently, leaving ordinary snow and ice in its place. When you reach the harbor shore, the first birds are beginning to stir somewhere among the cliffs. Not singing yet, only shifting, feathers waking under the last of night. The longships wait beneath their snow. As you step off the ice, one of the dragon prows gives a soft creak. It might be the cold. It might be wood settling. Or it might be the old song finding its way into sleeping timber. Torvald hears it, smiles. Atwin always wanted to be first into the water. he says. The settlement is still mostly asleep, but the world before dawn is beginning its quiet work. Smoke rises fresher from one chimney. A dog lifts its head near the fish sheds, sees familiar shapes, and settles again. Somewhere inside a house, a baby gives one small cry, then is comforted. You pass the ship hall, the unfinished longship inside, hidden by closed doors. You can almost hear the rowing line resting in its ribs. You pass the red-doored house. Astrid's mother opens the door before you reach it, shawl wrapped tight, worry and wonder both soft on her face. Solveig guides the child inside. Astrid turns at the threshold and raises the wooden whale. It knows the end now, she whispers. Then the door closes, and warm lamplight remains around its edges. Torvald returns to the ship hall, carrying the staff over one shoulder. I will sleep after sunrise, he says. Or perhaps I will plane one plank first. You should rest. I will rest by working slowly. That, too, seems true enough. Selvig walks with you to the standing stone near the well. The runes are fading. The light has withdrawn into the gray. Snow gathers again along the base. Soon the stone will look as it always does. Old, quiet, patient. She holds out her hands for the shell. You place it in them. For a moment, she closes her eyes. Not mine now, she says. Whose is it? The halls, the harbors, the watches, the child's, the seas. She wraps it in the wool cloth once more. Some things are kept best when no one person keeps them alone. The sky above the roofs is lifting from black to deep blue. The northern lights rise higher, returning to their distant place among the stars. They leave no scorch marks on the beams, no mated snow, no proof that they touched the earth, except the changed quiet of the morning and the song resting where it belongs. Selvig turns toward the great hall. There will be time later to teach the line, she says. Not loudly, not as a feast song, as a hearth song perhaps, or a harbor song for fog. Would people believe it? She looks back at you. They will believe what needs believing. The rest A will sing until belief catches up. Then she walks away with the shell wrapped close. You stand beside the stone, lantern in hand, and listen. For the first time all night, no calls from the path. There is only the settlement before waking, the sea beyond the shore, and the watch fire waiting on the cliff. You climb back toward the watch cliff as morning begins its slow arrival. The path underfoot is ordinary now. Snow, stone, packed earth, the familiar rise between the houses, and the high place above the seat. Your footprints from earlier remain in places, already softened by drifting snow. No green light fills them, no silver road waits ahead, yet the world does not feel less magical for becoming ordinary again. It feels trusted. The watch fire is still burning when you reach it. The log you placed before leaving has settled into red coals. A small flame lifts now and then, gold and steady. The horn hangs absent from its peg because it is still across your back. The spear leans where you left it. The cliff wind greets you, as if you have only stepped away for a moment. Lo, the village rests at the edge of dawn. The great hall door opens. A figure steps out carrying an ash bucket, pauses, and looks up at the sky. Perhaps they notice the last pale fold of northern light withdrawing. Perhaps they only notice that the cold morning is clear. Soon others will wake. Someone will break ice from the well. Someone will stir porridge. Someone will curse a stiff boot. Someone will laugh at the dog for stealing a scrap of fish. Life will return in its small, necessary pieces. You set the lantern down beside the fire. For a while, you simply stand. The frozen sea stretches outward, blue in the early light. Gull Rock sits quietly beyond the harbor. Farther still, the open channel shows a dark strip where water moves under the fading sky. Nothing glows there now. No seal lifts its head. No sky road shines across the ice. But the sea sounds different, not louder, not changed in any way a traveler could name. It still sighs and shifts beneath winter. It still touches ice with patient water. Yet beneath the familiar sounds rests a new steadiness, like a person sleeping well after long wakefulness. You sit on the watch bench and draw your cloak around you. The night's cold has found its way into your sleeves and boots, but the fire works slowly against it. Warmth returns by degrees. Fingers first, then wrists, then the quiet space between your shoulders. You think of the old song moving through the settlement. Perhaps it is already in the hall beams. Perhaps it is slipping under doors with the smell of smoke. Perhaps it will wait in the shipwright's hands. When he picks up his plane, in Astrid's wooden whale, when she wakes, in Solveig's voice, and she teaches the line to those who can listen without rushing. Sea that carried us, keep our way home. You do not sing it now. The morning is too new. Instead, you let the words rest inside you. A watchman watches many kinds of return. Boats returning through fog, hunters returning at dusk, children returning muddy from the shore, warm weather returning after the last ice breaks. But this return is quieter. An old song has come home to the sea, and through it the village has come home to part of itself. The first line of sun touches the far rim of the world, not the sun itself yet, only its promise. The eastern clouds turn faintly silver. The snow along the roofs becomes blue, then pearl. The great hall smoke rises straight for a moment before the wind takes it. Footsteps climb the path behind you. You turn and see Salavig approaching with 2 cups in her hands. Steam rises from them. Her cloak is dusted with frost at the hem. She sits beside you on the bench without asking, as elders and watchmen often do when the hour is quiet enough. She gives you 1 cup warm broth, salted lightly, with herbs floating at the top. You wrap both hands around it. For several breaths, neither of you speaks. The village below begins to wake in small sounds. A door opening, a bucket knocking wood, a rooster trying his voice before fully committing to morning. From the red-doored house comes a child's laugh, brief and bright. From the ship hall comes the scrape of a door being opened. Torvald is not sleeping, you say. He is resting by working slowly, Solveig replies. You take a sip of broth. It warms you all the way down. Will the lights come down again? Perhaps. She watches the sky. Perhaps not for many winters. Perhaps not in the same way. Her hands fold around her cup. Some wonders come once, because once is enough to mend what needed mending. Below, Torvald steps out of the ship hall and looks toward the cliff. Even from this distance, you can see him raise a hand. You lift yours in return. Astrid appears at her doorway in boots too large for her, wooden whale clutched to her chest. She turns toward the harbor and bows solemnly to the frozen sea. Then she runs back inside, likely called to breakfast. Solveig chuckles softly. She will tell the whale everything before noon. It already knows more than most of us. Then it will be a good listener. The last of the northern lights fades into the brightening sky. For a moment, you miss them. Then the feeling passes into something gentler. The lights have not gone because they are lost. They have returned to their high road. The sea has kept the song. The village has kept the morning. Solveig finishes her broth and stands. You should sleep when your watch ends. I will. She gives you a look that has corrected many people without needing many words. I will, you say again, more truly. Satisfied. She takes your empty cup when you are done and begins the walk back down. You remain on the cliff until the sun finally breaks the horizon. Gold spreads across the frozen sea. The longships brighten. The snow on the roofs glows softly. Smoke rises, gulls wake on distant rocks, and the settlement becomes itself in daylight. Wooden hulls, work-worn paths, stacked nets, sleeping ships, warm doors, ordinary people carrying old songs without always knowing it. Your replacement comes near full morning, yawning into his mitten and carrying a fresh lantern. He asks whether the night was quiet. You look out over the sea. Yes, you say after a moment. Quiet enough to hear something. He nods as if this makes sense for a watchman, and takes his place by the fire. You leave the cliff. The walk to your house is short. It stands near the upper edge of the settlement, small and sturdy, with a low roof and a narrow window facing the harbor. Inside, the air is cool but not cold. You stir the hearth until the banked coals glow. Add a piece of wood, and watch flame catch along the bark. The room warms slowly. You remove your boots, your cloak, your gloves. You set the horn on its peg near the door. The ordinary tasks feel good in your hands. A cup on the table, a folded blanket, a knife in its sheath, a bowl waiting to be washed. A life made of simple things. Still hereafter wonder has passed through it. You sit beside the hearth. Outside the window, morning settles over the village. You can see a slice of frozen sea, the curve of one longship prow, and beyond it the pale shape of Gull Rock. No path shines across the snow now. No curtains touch the earth. But when the wind moves just right against the walls, you hear something beneath it. Not a call, not a command. A song at rest. You lean back, letting the firelight move over the beams above you. The long night loosens from your shoulders. The room grows warmer. The sea keeps its gentle hush beyond the glass. Your eyes close while the settlement wakes around you. And somewhere below the morning sounds, beneath footsteps, gull cries, crackling wood, and the soft breathing of the tide, the old song remembers the way home.